I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. It is 7:30. Okay, good. 7:30. All right, this is Tuesday, July 8th, 2025. What are we doing? This is, so first of all cell phones are silenced. I know you worked on that. Thank you. Is this a regularly scheduled meeting?
It's a special meeting.
This is a special meeting. Yes, the zoning board, a special meeting. So tonight, we're going to go in order. This is calendar number 10-2025. This public hearing was opened on June 2nd of 2025, was continued to June 18th without additional testimony, then was recontinued, I didn't know that was a word, to July 1st of 2025 without testimony, and then recontinued to tonight, July 8th, without testimony. So tonight we will hear the application of J. Klein and Carmody Law on behalf of 1852 Darien 1 LLC, Cloud 10 Smart Wash, to allow the installation of a wall sign at 54 Boston Post Road. Whenever you're ready.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
By way of introduction, because I haven't had the pleasure of appearing before you before, my name is Bill Hennessy. I'm Jay Klein's partner. Jay is off in another town working a different matter tonight, and I've been asked to assist with this, along with our colleague, Dan Chappell. So Jay and Dan have been with this project since its conception. Well before it was an application before the Planning and Zoning Commission, and then went through and wound its way through the ARB, and of course now that's here. So I will at points defer to Dan because he's more intimately familiar with it, as I may to our clients that are here tonight, Brendan Johnson, Jeff Augusta, and Michael Ashbar. Two of them are Darien natives, if I'm not mistaken. I think Brendan and Jeff are. So they are unusually
not a name.
A resident. I'm sorry, I misspoke. So they too are maybe more familiar with some of the details of the history of this. Now I heard chatter about there being new members here. I'm happy to sort of take a little bit more of a step back.
But no, let's be clear.
Yeah.
Who's sitting on this, and were we all?
You five are.
Okay, so
You're continuing this from
Right.
June
So
2nd.
we're all
differently, the
familiar-
new member is not relevant for
Right.
this
Right,
presentation.
he's not voting on this
Okay, we
presentation.
have five, though.
Right,
We have
the
five
five that
who
have
are familiar
heard
with
the
the
previous,
application.
yes.
Perfect.
Okay.
That was my concern.
Yes.
So
Good question.
you'll recall that this relates to the property at 54 Boston Post Road, the old Bertucci's restaurant where we took our kids and they got the dough and they played with the dough and all that. And the business is gone, the building is gone, and what's been approved is the Cloud 10 car wash on that site. And the process that brings us here is the culmination of the site plan and architectural review process that was conducted before the ARB and the Planning and Zoning Commission. And as you'll recall, the result of all that was that the building, instead of being as close as 30 feet to the road where it could be, and is having as little as 18 feet of landscape buffer, now has 26 feet of landscape buffer and is set pretty much 129 point something feet back, about 130 feet back, about 4.5 times the amount of minimum setback. And that was because, you'll recall, of the concerns of the P&Z about the operation of this use. The other uses, and we won't name names, but there are competitor uses in the area, which have suffered from circulation and queuing problems that have been a problem on the Boston Post Road there, and also exiting problems as the car exits and get dried off and all that stuff. So from the earliest days of the conception of this project, it was strongly encouraged that the entire operation be pushed back, which it was. Also with the ARB, as you know, the strong suggestion was that it be some sort of iconic building and it not look like a car wash that you might see elsewhere. And both of those were achieved along with some other things. We discovered along the way that there are some remarkable specimen trees Matt Pop and his team found them, and you could go look at them. The preservation of them was important, and that really contributed to the extent of that landscape buffer, the depth of it, and the sinewy sidewalk that sort of threads its way through the site plan. So all of this amounts to a terrific site plan for a use that's allowed in a building that I think everybody feels is very, very well-designed and will be an additive feature. And there are other things that were considered along the way, such as the traffic, the amount of volume of traffic in front of this.
Can I interrupt you 1 second?
Yeah, sure.
Did you listen to the hearing that we had previously to this?
I didn't listen to it also.
Okay, but you probably should have.
Oh, okay.
Don't tread on an area that we've already heard.
Okay.
We're interested in the size of
Yeah.
the sign.
Right.
During that hearing, we gave some homework to the applicant. Can you address that, please?
Sure. As I recall, from reviewing what I did, that the size of the sign that was proposed in the original variance request, that's what's, I suppose, technically before you, was 270 square feet, and that 256. And that is a building sign, it's a single building sign, as is allowed. I think the allowed signage is about 48. So it's substantially larger than is allowed under the regulation. So the building sign is the sign attached to the building, not any other sign. You, as I understand it, were concerned about the size that was being requested, both of the letters and, as it turned out, the height of the sign as it's attached to the building, and asked us to investigate a smaller sign, perhaps at a different level. So we have done that. And Dan, can you take us through those visuals? Dan, why don't you explain what we have here?
Sure. For the record, my name is Dan Chappell from Carmine and Torrance. So what you see on the top is the sign that we previously proposed. It's the 256 square foot sign. It's 24.5-ish feet above curb level. And on the bottom, we have the new proposed sign that's 170 square feet. And it's roughly, it's 25 feet and 10 inches above curb level, and we've also reduced the letter height from 57.75 inches to 46.25 inches. So it's a little smaller and higher up. Still,
Mr. Chappell, would you mind going through those numbers again? I got 170 square feet instead of, what was
Instead of-
proposed was 265.
256
265.
or 265.
265 to
170.
170, and then the height,
The height is 25 feet and 10 inches.
Well, that's not good, because that's higher than the previous.
Well, that was requested. We have both options available. So this is the sign that's 25 feet, 10 inches above curb level, but we also have a version that's at the same height as the sign we previously proposed. There was a suggestion from one of the...
You noticed, your application noticed 24/7.
Yeah.
You can't go above that.
Okay, well,
You
this
asked
was
us
in
to look at,
response,
But you-
yeah.
But,
you asked us to examine, so we're responding to
but you
your
can't go
question.
above it.
I understand. We're
Okay.
responding to your question.
Okay.
So this sign is the same height as what was previously proposed.
okay,
What was the figure height that you revised it to?
the figure height of the
From 57.5 inches down to 46 inches.
46.25 inches.
46.25.
Is the maximum letter height, so some of the letters are smaller than that.
okay.
And what I was pointing out is, this board cannot approve anything that wasn't greater than what was in the notice.
I'm aware of that.
Okay,
But
that's all.
as I understand it, we were asked to look at it, so
Yeah,
we're just
maybe.
being
It's
responsive.
fine.
That's all. I mean, it could have
But
resulted
if we
in a
like
different
it-
application.
But if we like it, we can't even rule on it. We can't agree to it.
We're trying to be responsive.
Yeah.
So we also asked you to do some comparison around town. Can you do that for us?
Sure, so we looked at, Well, we had talked about the Trader Joe's signage and the Stop and Shop signage specifically, but we also looked at BMW signage as well. For BMW, we found that there was a variance granted in 2007 that allowed 18 inches of letter height in lieu of the 10-inch maximum that was permitted, and it allowed 53.6 square feet of sign area in lieu of 25.34 that was allowed at the time. And it also allowed a sign that was 24.4 feet above the curb level in lieu of the 15-foot maximum height allowed. And then it allowed a 40 square foot in lieu of an 18 square foot pole sign as well. And then for Stop and Shop, we looked at the 2010 approval. That's when we requested an approval from the town, that's what we got. And they were granted a variance to have a maximum letter height of 36 inches in lieu of 10 inches, and then a 36-inch maximum allowable figure height in lieu of 10 inches. And it didn't have any information about the sign area in the documents we received from the town, but it appeared to be it's above 48 square feet. I don't know the exact square area. And then we received the Trader Joe's approval, where, again, that did not include the sign area on it from what I saw, but they were granted a variance to permit 16-inch letters in lieu of the 10-inch maximum letter height that was permitted in the zoning regulations.
So what I'd like you to help us understand is, from your survey of town, why do you think that we should grant a variance of the letter height and area that you are requesting?
Simply put, a sign needs to be visible in order to be useful. And because of the unique circumstances associated with this site plan and the site design and the property itself, the regulation allowances aren't, in our view, reasonable in terms of what is visible. So let me explain to you what I think, because I think it's an amalgamation of things that make this site and the building unusual. Number one is it's on a very busy portion of the road. It's essentially in some portions of the frontage, a 5-lane road, sandwiched between 2 interchanges of I-95, which are split. You have the southbound one taking you toward Stamford, New York, and then you have the exit ramp to the north along the Norotan River there. You have a situation where you have large trees which are being maintained. You have a building, because of the use, which has been very much encouraged to be very, very far removed, 4.3 times the minimum setback, pushed way back on the site in order to create the safety and the circulation for the site. And that results in a placement of the signage on the building, which is far from the viewing public.
So how far does that compare to Stop and Shop?
Stop and Shop's 400 feet.
Somebody said Stop and Shop was about 400 feet, but I would argue that Stop and Shop is in a shopping center, a strip shopping center. This is a standalone building by itself. It's got, I-95 on one side, it's got a car dealership behind it, it's got a small commercial strip, which is right up on the street to its, I guess that'd be its west, and it's got no residential neighbors around. So there's nobody here that's negatively affected. What we're trying to do, I suppose, I'll just say it, is equivocate the amount of signage that's as of right at a 30-foot building, say. If the building were established at 30 foot from the road, how much signage impact would you have? We're trying to equivocate that to something that's 130 feet back from the road. And that's the basic objective here, is to give ourselves the same amount of visualization, if you will, from the curb as we would if we had built where we could have built, right on the road.
Can you
instead
talk,
of
can you talk
following-
about the other signage that you intend to put?
The monument sign?
We envisioned it going here, right at the entrance.
Do you have a schematic of what it's going to be? Is that what
If
it is?
you see above, we don't have signs or final details on that, but the sizes are probably, it's what's allowed under the reg. So it would be very close to this.
And lighting?
I'm assuming it would be lit. I know the rest of the site plan, we had agreed in our conditions to dimming the light. That's one of the conditions, the P and Z. The lights get dimmer as it goes on. This would stay open as late as 9 p.m. But obviously, as it gets darker, except for security lighting, I don't think there's a need for a lot of lighting.
Do you have any drawings that have the placement of the trees and angles from the street? So you're looking at the building with the signage proposed and the trees? Yeah.
Okay. So, maybe this is a useful slide for everybody, because this goes to the last point I made, which is we're trying to create the equivalent amount of visual impact, right? So Dan, why don't you walk folks through what this is?
Sure, so this is the compliance sign. This is the exhibit that we revised from last time. If you remember from last time, it still showed the parking area out in front, but we moved the building up, kept the signage the same size. So this is a compliant sign at 48 square feet. And
If the, excuse me, if the building was closer to the road.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah.
So this building is 30 feet from the road. You can see that it's appears much higher. And then in the middle, this is the newly proposed signage. It's 170 square feet with 46-inch letters maximum, and it's at the current, or the approved setback of 129.3 feet from the road. And then on the right is the sign that we previously proposed, which is 265 square feet with 57.5-inch letters. And this sign, if you were to print this page out and measure it with a ruler, this sign is roughly the same dimensions as this sign. So it is roughly the same scale when you're viewing it from the road.
Okay. And there's no schematic with the monument sign on it? I mean, I can see it from the other drawing, but there's nothing, where would it go here?
It would be to the left of all this.
Yeah, it'd be at the site entrance. So the sign would be right around here.
Okay.
And then the wall sign.
Yeah.
But then the monument sign would be right at the site entrance, behind the sidewalk.
So you could go back to the photos you were just showing? If you don't mind. So that one in the middle is the one you're proposing now, but I think that's at the higher elevation, which we don't think we can go to, but if you scroll down.
Yes.
I think
There.
what you are now have on the plate as your request is this one on the left, on the right.
Right.
That one right there.
Correct.
Which is at 47.7 feet?
It's 24 feet 7 inches at the maximum height above curb level.
Which is what they
Oh, wait.
originally requested.
Correct.
Okay, oh, I'm sorry,
So,
24.7.
I gotta tell you, I'm confused because Trader
Yeah.
Joe's is at the same distance from the road,
I would say roughly.
right? And their sign is, letter height is 22 inches. Do you ever have problems finding Trader Joe's?
Well, I would say Trader Joe's is on a busy corner. This is not. Trader Joe's actually has signage on the back of the building as well. Trader Joe's
Yeah,
is
but
in
I'm
the
not
strip
concerned.
center with other. And Trader Joe's is a different sort of destination than this car wash. I would say that's distinguishing.
So we're talking, but what's the hardship that just, I mean, is it safety? Is it, like, is it people aren't going to know that that's the car wash despite the monument sign? It seems to me that what you're really arguing is aesthetics.
I don't think so. We're arguing building identification. Listen, everybody is allowed a monument sign and a wall sign. The arguments or the questions been put to us. If you have one, why would you have the other? If that's the case, then why does anybody get two signs?
We're not,
I mean, you
but
could
we're
be
not
at
suggesting
30
you don't have two signs.
Right. But you can't see one. And that's the practical effect. This building was put there because of concerns about safety, of concerns about queuing. All is experienced by competitors across the street with all sorts of problems with those very things. So the site was designed that way. I think everybody agrees, up and down, that this was a superior site design with a superior piece of architecture, and it'll be the nicest car wash facility ever. But it's got a problem because of the location set so far back to solve those issues and the amount of signage permitted.
Can I speak?
Of course, Rick.
Hi, I'm Brendan Johnson. I think you guys remember me from last time. There's a couple things directly to your point about Trader Joe's. This is a different business than you're used to, than most businesses are used to. Number one reason, Trader Joe's. Everybody knows what Trader Joe's is because you got to eat to live. You do not need to go to the car wash. This is a completely impulsive purchase. So no one is necessarily, when I go grocery shopping in the morning, I know exactly where I'm going. This is not the case with this. And we know this because we've had sites open 4 to 5 years in a town like this, and there are still loads of people that still have no idea what it is, despite having a way bigger sign than this. Number one. Number two, we didn't want to put the building where it was. We were asked, strongly suggested, told to push it way back. This is the only site we have that's this far back. This is a death knell for most car washes to be this far back. Because again, it's an impulse purchase. You drive by, okay, what is that? Oh, car wash, okay, I can go in. No one ever has that problem with Stop and Shop, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, Shake Shack, anything. It's a recognizable brand. Number three, we were also asked to almost hide the building. Those trees are enormous. If you haven't seen them lately, go by again. I love having a lot of trees that are that old and that majestic, but from a pure business perspective, I would have liked to have chainsawed them all down and put brand new ones up. And we wouldn't be here talking about the signage because the building is huge in itself because we were asked to be very, very creative. This is a very unique set of circumstances. I think the hardship is part safety, part we did what we were told and hid this thing in the back, made it look iconic. Fantastic. We did everything everybody wanted us to. I don't want it to fail either. Signage is the number one thing, other than the quality of our product. Signage is the number one thing in our business that dictates success. If you start to notice this around the country when you drive around, it's the most, other than the building, it's the most prominent part of a car wash. So I just wanted to add that. I understand that we appreciate the guidance you gave us last meeting. I know exactly what you're asking us to do. The hardship is I don't want to close this thing in 3 years because no one knows what it is, where it is, and it's disguised by, great, we've got really majestic trees, but no one's going there because they don't know where it is. They don't know what it is. So we've got a very safe, top-notch facility that's not going to have the safety issues that others have. I want it to work. So I just wanted to add that.
Excuse me, was it Mr. Johnson?
Johnson.
Brandon Johnson. Could you help us? Because maybe you've heard more of this than I have or anybody else. Who was it that told you to put the building where it is, to design the site the way it is? Where did that come from?
Combination of the Connecticut Department of Transportation and the Darien Planning and Zoning Board. The Department of Transportation, I would say, had a huge amount to say about this. And that we're about 15 to 18 months behind schedule because we kept going back and forth and back and forth.
Well, that had to do with the traffic light, didn't it?
That had to do with the safety of the flow of traffic, the traffic light, how wide the driveway's supposed to be, right in, right out,
Wait
yes.
a minute, did the state DOT advise you to put the building where it is, where it's proposed now?
They were concerned about queuing. They were happy that there's elimination of one of the 2 driveways that exists now. They strongly encouraged that the experience going on Route 1, which it's their road, with cars queuing and cars coming out of one of the car wash establishments and having to queue on the sidewalk as they're dry, isn't repeated. So their recommendation was solve all that. You can't solve all that by putting the building in the middle.
Yeah, so did they say put it in the back? No. What they said is this is not getting approved without a massive amount of queuing. And with that, you're gonna cause a traffic jam. You've got the Wegmans, you've got all this stuff going on, got 2 I-95.
DOT said they would not approve this use if the building wasn't where
No.
it's proposed.
No, what they said was, you need to have an enormous amount of queuing and very easy flow of traffic, given how busy this road is at this intersection and all the problems they've had with it. We fought with them for a year, saying, with all of the town and the town politicians supporting us, you need a light.
Right.
They said no. They said the DOT disagreed with everybody in town, plus all the politicians, said, you're wrong, we don't need a light. It's designed so that we can shut down for 3 months and put a light in, because I know they're coming back to us as soon as Wegmans opens and Target opens. So you can't build this the way they want to under any scenario without putting the building way back. There's no, just, how do you get a lot of queuing space having the building in the front? It doesn't work. We must have gone through 80 iterations of this. And every time we went back to the DOT, it was no this, no that. And then concurrent with that, while we were negotiating with them, the Planning and Zoning Board had their own opinions.
Right.
They wanted it back. And everyone's giving
All right.
suggestions on how to do
Just
this.
so you know, we don't have any documentation of that. If you want to accept that argument, we should probably continue the hearing, see if we can get something in which the DOT has actually stipulated some things about where this building and the queuing should be, and what the Planning and Zoning Commission dictated.
These are verbal conversations.
Well, it's important.
I mean, but Woody, whether or not they were forced to put the building back here, it is in a safer location than if it was up at the edge of the setback where they're allowed to put it. So, I mean, I take your point that it will be helpful to have some of that information, but I think it is indisputable that it's safer in the location that it's being built.
Yeah, I'm just not so sure. I mean, can you scroll back to the slide before? I don't know that it makes that big of a difference. These are not that indistinguishable to me. I don't want your car wash to fail either. I don't know that this makes a huge difference.
But I think their point was if that was set back where the other building was.
If you
it
kept the
was like-
scale the same, and then that's the comparable scale.
No, but what they're not showing, which would have been helpful, is a 20, do you have a picture of a, I thought you did.
Yeah,
of a
last time
26.
they did, yeah, 26.
That's the one
was
you
on.
should compare.
I think,
Show
I
us
thought
a
they
com-
did in the last
Show us
slide.
a compliant, show us a
Yeah.
compliant sign.
400
in
feet
a-
off the road,
Well, it's not
100.
130.
130 feet off the road.
Big
Sorry.
difference.
This is the,
that,
I can't read that sign from here. I have my contacts in it.
there it is.
At that point, why bother?
Well, I don't think that works.
Well, that's what the regulation,
No, that's
Wow.
useful.
yeah, I get,
Could you give us the Trader Joe's statistics again? I heard different things.
It's the same
Trader Joe's
distance.
130 feet from the road, 35.1 square feet.
The letters are
22
22-inch
inches.
letters.
And not,
And in that district, what did the code allow in terms of the size of the letters? Like how big of an
18 inch was
increase?
what it was supposed to be.
Is that right?
I think they're 26, right?
It's
I
26
thought it
here.
was
Yeah.
20 inches.
That's what I'm
20
trying to
inches in
understand.
pedestrian or in business
It
district,
was quite a
26.
few years ago, the Trader Joe's was.
So I don't know what it was at the
prior
time.
to the revision of the regulations.
Well, what are the current the current regulations
26.
allow 26.
And that's what's
I thought I read
depicted there.
yes, that's right, Dean.
Well, the old
That's the
regulations
26
before we
inch level.
revised.
and again, The Stop
Yeah,
and Shop Trader
26
Joe's,
inch letters.
Stop and Shop Trader Joe's, they don't have these trees. They got a straight shot at every one of those buildings. You can see. I don't have that luxury. I mean, as it is now, trees are, there's an argument over, are they our trees or the DOT's trees? And they need to be trimmed because they're dangerous. And you can imagine how hard it is to get an answer to that question and get someone to pick up the phone. So right now, you probably want to be able to see the sign. So current state is, you're going to see a fraction of it.
Right, and I know you answered, I believe you answered this. What is the lighting plan for the sign? Halo?
Halo, whatever you asked for.
Yeah,
we
it's
did.
halo, right, it's halo.
Yeah.
What is a halo?
Back.
So back, so, okay. So,
I want it to look like the Hamptons.
and for the monument,
Same thing.
same thing.
We want it to look sophisticated.
Okay?
So if I'm reading the tea leaves right, I can sense the board agrees that 26 inches is probably too small for letter height. 57 was too big. It sounds like there may be still some discomfort about 46 inch, although I'm not sure. Did you all look at anything else, or was it just you went down to 46 and you feel like that's the smallest you can go? Right. Like, did you look at, say, a 60% increase, so that would get you at like 41.6 or?
Spent a couple hours with Bruce Beinfeld's office going through different variations. Let me just run the math.
Jay, this is useless. Can you go back to the other options?
Yeah,
Sorry.
we stipulate that that's.
Yes,
too
we
small.
stipulate that.
It is useless, but for some reason, I can't square how I view the Trader Joe's sign with how I view that sign. Trees notwithstanding, Trader Joe's sign seems at 22 inches very readable from the poster. I spent my whole week looking at signs all over town, so I can't. I agree that picture doesn't look reasonable, but I also can't square why I have no problem seeing the Trader Joe's, even if I didn't know Trader Joe's was,
Right.
versus what that picture shows me. So
Trader Joe's is also big red. I think that might have some impact.
I think of the Chase too.
I think Trader Joe's is an awful sign. You can't see it. I think
It's not a halo sign on an iconic building. It's a big red sign for a chain.
We have 60% more letters than they do.
It's an awful sign. You can barely see it. It's red. It blends in with the brick. It's terrible. I'm going
The
to talk to them after
The
this.
Orbis sign is white.
Yeah, it stands
Similar
out.
to this.
Same with Chase.
So what was it, 170 down from 256?
Right.
265.
265. Yeah, we did a 36% decrease.
Was there any science to that, or?
I wanted a meaningful decrease so that
And what are we talking about the letters in the word cloud? Right, those are the tallest letters.
That's a great question. Is that what we're talking about? Not
believe-
smartwatch?
That's the square
The
foot,
10.
that's the
The
square foot.
10 is the bigger, I think.
This gives us
10 is the
better-
largest?
Yes, so the 10 is 3 feet,
10
10 and a
inches.
quarter inches, and then the cloud is 2 feet, 9.5 inches.
So the,
24, what's my math? 35 and a half inches.
so it's really the logo is the issue, the 10. That's what, I know that drives the variance because it's the maximum. But the letters are,
The smartwatch isn't even the smartwatch is less than
Yeah.
26 inches.
Smartwatch is 19 and a quarter inches.
so if
The
we're.
smartwatch is fine, where that gets in trouble is now you take the whole square footage of the
Right,
sign.
but let's
But
back
but
up.
that's not the
What-
regulation. though.
Right, what Matt is talking about is
Oh, yeah.
comparing, being able to read the letters in Trader Joe's. The apples to apples comparison is the letters in Trader Joe's, which are 22 inches, and the letters in Smartwash. The reason why this application is challenging to us is really the logo, the 10.
10 with the bubble.
Because the letters, if everything shrinks, then your words in cloud and smartwash shrink proportionally. But to do an apples-to-apples comparison would be more letters to chase. And that's a better,
And so cloud's only 33 inches now.
cloud is
35 and a half.
35. And
No, that's 33.
33.
33?
33 and a half.
24, yeah.
33 and a
Maybe
half
you can do
versus
everything in
20,
inches.
versus 26.
I probably get a math lesson tonight.
Well, okay. Is this, you have
Do
to
we have-
use this
do we
logo?
have- hold
This
on,
is
do we
like-
have-
This is the logo you use in all your
everywhere.
content, okay.
Hold on, do we have logo, we've had logo variances where we've allowed a logo to be bigger than the letters.
We have, like the
haven't we?
D on the Darien
The
Sports Shop.
Jaguar and,
In proportion to conforming letters. If they could prove that they have like a chase symbol that's part of their
well,
corporate design,
these have that.
the board has granted logo increases with letters conforming.
Right, so your letters here are 33 as opposed to 26. And smartwatch,
19.
19. So it's really the logo, it's almost more of a logo variance than
The 10 is 46 inches.
than a letter. So that's why you're squaring
Yeah,
the,
exactly.
that helps you get closer to the Trader Joe
Right.
idea.
All right. Well, that's a better argument.
Because it's not every letter that is
So,
46 inches.
so wait, and what are we looking at then? Are we looking now at the compromised one or the largest one? We're
This is
looking
what
at
they're now asking
their
for
new
today.
proposed, okay.
Yes.
So newly proposed number is not that bad. We're going from 26 to 33 and a half.
With
With the
a larger-
logo that is.
With a larger logo,
Okay,
which requires the variance, but it's
logo
a
gets the
bigger
variance.
We're not proposing a larger logo than before. It's just that the logo is the largest piece of the ask, I suppose.
Yeah, in fact, it's actually smaller than what your original application
Yes.
was because it's
Yes.
proportional to the letters.
Correct.
Okay, so let's talk about the height,
Okay.
where it's placed on the building. I think it's gotta be higher up.
Well,
then-
I don't think we
then-
can do
Then they
that.
need to renotice.
But this is showing 24/7. That's
think
what their
20
notice is.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
this is the one that's.
Oh, this is
okay,
consistent
yeah.
Yeah.
with
That's
your
the
notice?
dimension on the
It
far
can't go
right.
higher than that, but I think that works,
Okay.
right? I mean, we're kind of deliberating now, I shouldn't say that. But that's what you guys are proposing, that still works for you, the 24/7 height?
Yeah, we only moved the height up
Because-
to be responsive to one of the asks last time.
Okay, we
just
were
to show
asking
you
about
that
height
option.
changes,
Yeah.
okay.
You want to bring it down a couple feet, that's fine.
I don't know
We're running
that,
a balance between it's a straight shot between the trees and the ground.
And we also have the vacuums, so it needs to be above the vacuums.
Which is a little bit of a self-created problem, unlike the trees.
okay.
And can I ask a clarifying question on the planning and zoning approval? So if you just said, you know what, we don't want it 130 feet back, we want it close to the road, that's what's gonna make our business successful, they could have just said, no, not approved.
Correct. I can't make the traffic work.
No, I'm trying to get to I'm not saying your argument, but that you were forced to move it back. So if they said, we want to build 30 feet inside of our setback, planning and zoning, if that was not as of right, planning and zoning could have still said, nope, this is not approved.
It's a
Why?
special permit site plan application. There's a
Right.
car wash on the post road. It's a 12-page approval resolution.
Okay.
After a second application, there are some 50 conditions attached to it, and 5 pages of findings. This was a deeply considered application, not once,
And-
but twice.
And does planning and zoning, because that signing regs were created by them? I'm not sure if that's the correct term. But do they take into account a building that is, sorry, that is right on close to the street versus further back in the site? Is that taken into account in the signing regs?
Not that we've been able to
I
find.
don't believe so.
We looked. and
Yes,
looked,
there is.
And looked.
Yeah, it's in the staff questions report there. If they forego, some places do, they forego a pole sign or a monument sign out by the road, they can ask for an increase in the area, and it's kind of in a formula based on how many feet you are back from the road. So I did copy the regulation for you to see.
Well, isn't that kind of what they've done by saying, That's the calculation they've
The
made.
difference, I guess, would be is that they are still doing the monument side. So
Exactly.
they'd have to
We
forego
need
the
the
monument
monument
side
Oh, I
and the.
But I wouldn't
which-
say,
Yeah.
Which is why we're here at a variance
Okay,
position.
okay.
I wouldn't suggest that. So,
But the commission did consider buildings.
What, having them forego the monument? Well, I don't think that does anything.
Buildings farther back.
So what do you want to say about this?
Just that the commission did look at and allow for and offered some guidance to the ARB on that. For buildings that are farther back than 30 feet.
So sign area per section 935.c.1 may be increased by up to 1% for every 2 feet beyond 100 feet, subject to review and approval by ARB. So that's 2 feet, 1% for every 2 feet beyond 100, so you're 130, so that's 15%. 15% of 26 inches.
I thought that was that sign area.
Yeah.
Oh, that's area, correct.
And the ARB did not get involved with the signage. They talked about the architectural design, but not the signage. They kicked that to us.
So 56 times 15% is 12 square feet.
Right.
50 is 8
That's what I
square
thought it was
feet.
48.
And that's-
48 was the allowed.
With no monument sign.
So that gives you 55 feet. So, and what is this? This is 170? How is this calculated? Is it like you,
It's based on
What you
the
square.
rectangle around
Okay,
this
again.
whole- So the
But
hatched
It's,
area.
it's the CAD software from Byfield's office.
but that's actually, it seems like,
The blank spaces too count.
yeah, but even above the 10. Why is it,
Because there are bubbles going up.
because the bubbles go up that high?
Yeah, and I think,
Hold on, we can get rid of some of those.
yeah, well, I think this dashed line on the bottom should be farther
Oh,
down.
yeah.
But, yeah, this is the,
It's covering the bubbles.
yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. We're counting,
You're
I
counting,
mean, you've got 3 feet by 18 feet
Counting
there
all
that
this.
you're counting.
Right.
right.
You're counting 3 feet by 13 feet, that's 40 square feet right there. Roughly.
I know it looks like we're spending an inordinate amount of time on a sign, and you're like, why does this matter so much? This is the first time we've considered something outside of these new sign regs that were just put into place. And they're put into place for a good reason. Like, we're trying to be respectful of the town and too much signage, and the signage has gotten out of control around here. So, I mean, there is a good reason for this. We don't want to set a bad precedent. We want to be thoughtful about it. But Gary, what else do you want to ask about this?
No, I actually think you've,
Made the case.
no. In all due respect to your team, they've cut your legs out by not explaining this better. They're saying that the letters are really only X height, and it's really the logo that's driving this, because when you're asking for something double the, essentially,
True.
double or more, that shocks the conscience, but when we've been now able to dive deeper, I think it's
not
a
as
more
bad as-
reasonable,
yeah.
I'm not saying how we're gonna vote, but it's a more reasonable
Matt, you call
application, how you described it, as opposed to your staff.
understood. Appreciate that comment.
Because we've got that's why we now can have a little bit better of an apples-to-apples comparison to what else is around town, and that's what we asked you guys to do, is to compare around town.
Matt, you got any questions?
Sorry, just for,
Yeah.
I missed this, for the record, what is the
Hardship.
regulation? No,
What's the regulation?
What's the regulation on the signage area?
It's 50,
50 feet.
it's like 48 square feet
48
square feet.
for a wall sign.
48 square feet is regulation,
130 feet
26
back
inch
from
height, I'm sorry,
100 and, no, that was
130
internal
foot
thoughts. Yeah,
setback,
internal thoughts.
26 inch
Look,
height
look,
of letter.
Okay.
I mean, we can deliberate this later, but my feeling is this building looks better further away from the road than if it were looming on the road.
Yeah,
So,
well,
Yeah,
that's
no,
what
for sure.
apparently they were trying to comply with.
so it's a safety thing, it's a,
Aesthetic, but that's not a
I
hardship.
think we can, but I think we can do it.
Well,
I've heard enough from these people, I
you've
don't
heard
know
enough?
if anyone else has.
Kevin,
I don't have any questions.
I'm good.
Matt,
I'm good.
Woody? You're good? Anybody from the audience wish to be heard or to make a statement?
I was just informed by.
You have to
somebody-
say who you are.
I'm sorry, could you state your name for the
Please forgive
record?
me. My name is Jeff Agasta, I'm Brendan's business partner. And the way that that's measured, that box is measured, there's a bunch of space in there that shouldn't be included.
Right.
It's about 80 square feet that should not be included.
Right, we just kind of figured that out.
Opposite, it's 82 square feet. This
Okay,
actual sign.
But, okay, but let me just be very careful here. Because if we approve a variance that says 82 square feet, you then have to live with that. So be careful about what you,
I don't think,
Well,
this is the sign that we're
no,
shooting.
no,
But
but
he's saying, check your
Yeah,
math.
right.
that's what I'm saying, is
No, I get that.
check your,
Right. So. I
don't be so,
know-
what I'm saying is don't be flippant about it, be careful about it.
That's what I'm saying.
Because if we say, yes, the square footage is we approve a variance of, in lieu of 48 square feet, it's 82 square feet, that's what you must then live with.
But there's no way the regulations don't tell you how to calculate the square footage.
Well, that's-
yeah.
It has to tell you how to calculate the square footage, no?
I mean, does it have to be a literal square? I mean, is it a piecemeal, like?
No, it's supposed to be a regular rectangle around the outermost portion of the sign.
But I think what people have done, it doesn't make sense in this case. Because of the way the logo, we're not trying to re-engineer your logo, but the logo kind of screws this out.
Like if you made smartwash a little smaller and kept it under the cloud 10 and under the cloud word and dropped the 10 down,
Without-
you'd cut.
They can't though, that's a standard logo, that's
You
their
could,
set
you could
logo.
have, but
I'm sure somebody can make that look nice.
But this is what they use on
I know
all
I
their.
get it, but
I know.
And one more thing, just so you know, there are photos in the staff report of the actual view from the post road through the trees into the interior of the property.
Jay and Bill, just to make sure we're clear, what you're asking us to approve tonight is, go back to this. Okay, so this is
This-
exactly what?
We calculated at 170 square feet as measured here,
Okay,
which is the highest member to the lowest member in a
Okay.
rectangular box. That's
Okay.
how our architects told us that it should be measured. If there's an alternative measurement, we'd still like this same sign, it would be less of a variance. If there's a condition attached to this that says, this sign as measured to 170, but nothing but this sign.
Correct.
That's
We
acceptable.
can solve that.
That's acceptable.
I agree.
okay. So 170 square feet.
As
This-
shown.
As shown.
As shown.
Which
is-
As measured.
But which is an effective square feet of what?
We're saying 82, 83 square feet.
Somewhere, let's
We
call it
need to check that.
85 to 90, no more than that.
No more than 90 square feet.
Yeah.
if you're saying if we get rid of, if you're
Yeah, if
ignoring
you
the
have an
blank
effective
space at the top.
measurement.
And I think if we, I mean, again, I assume if we put a stipulation, say, the 10 being, help me out, 46 or 48?
36, 46.
46.
46 and a quarter.
46 inches.
The 10 being 46, but the letter cloud being, I mean, we could be specific, so if we don't give a variance of 46, then all of a sudden you're filling, at 46 and 170, all of a sudden you're filling the space. I know that's not your intent,
Right.
but we want to be specific.
If
we
you
were
want to be
oppose-
specific, you can relate it to this exhibit too.
Yeah. Yep,
That's what we would do. We would, yes.
if we were to approve it.
If we were to approve it, we'd reference this. And halo lighting, we would be specific about that.
Yeah. Because this
Okay.
is all spelled out.
And the
And again, it's a
monument,
white sign, I mean, you would agree to a stipulation, again, as is, as shown, it's white with, yes.
and the monument sign adheres to standards.
Correct.
Right, and you're not gonna ask for, at a later application for a variance on that.
You could put that in there too.
And it's properly set back from the road at the proper distance and all that. Okay. Anything else?
So we have been told, if we use stipulations, to be very specific.
Oh, yes.
And as to why, too.
I think this is very specific, and we can reference this drawing. What is this drawing?
Let's identify this drawing so we know what we're talking about.
Yes. Is this,
So it's sheet A58. The architectural plans,
A8.58.
or A8.5, I'm having trouble.
A8.58. Okay?
3/25/25.
It's dated March 25th, 2025, and revised to June 20th, 2025,
Got it.
titled Building Signage Comp.
Okay.
Where's the revision date?
Where's the
I
revision?
don't see the revision date. Let's make sure we get this right.
It's in the title block. 3/25/25.
No, but that was the original date, this has been.
The revised. Where'd you find that revised date, Jimmy?
Revision schedule.
Well, it's up under the PowerPoint tab, but
Yeah, you're,
I mean, you could also say the PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah,
page
but could
5
someone
of the
print it out
PDF.
and sign it as this is the one?
okay.
Yeah, I have a printout of it as well.
Do you need me to sign that or you sign
oh
it?
yeah, the one that is in the drawings, that is these same sizes, is at 25 feet.
Okay.
That's this one right here. The 170 square foot option is at the higher height. The higher height.
So we can bring that down.
Yeah, we're talking about this, right, the sign, not the location to that point.
Right.
Which one?
No, that one up.
Oh, you were scrolling in on this one?
170, this is it.
Is that the A8?
The one I have is 46 inches, 170 feet, 129 feet.
A8.
170, I'm just trying to find that. That's 25
That.
to the
Right?
top.
46, 170, 129.
That's the one.
That's the one.
We don't want him to bring that height down, right? We want to keep that, no.
Yeah, that's the drawing. There's no revision on that drawing. The one that we're looking at is the current one. You're not gonna miss it.
I'm okay with it. I don't know. And that's the argument of the scale. If you take that and push it, it should be that. I don't want that.
There's a date on the side. It's actually June 19th. Where? On the bottom left-hand corner.
Oh,
Yeah,
I signed it anyway.
I thought it had made its way onto the revision.
Thanks, Jim.
That's circled.
And what's correcting the height?
2407.
The height will be compliant. We won't give you, we're not going to give you a variance on the height off the ground. Right.
Correct.
Right. So it's the sign
That's the
depicted here,
compliant version.
but no,
No height there, or no elevation there.
right, that's the word.
Well, we need 3 variances, or we requested 3 variances. So, section 935C1B
Yeah.
requires a maximum height above curb level of 15 feet.
Right. I didn't mean, it's
It's
not the
over
depict-
what's being asked.
been noticed.
Oh, okay.
Right, that's what I
Sorry.
meant. Not more than what's been noticed. Correct.
Right, so we're giving a height variance.
Well,
Or
we're
that's
not
what,
doing
that's what you're asking, I'm sorry.
Right.
We're not giving.
Right.
We will deliberate on
But
that.
we're not being asked to go above what's been
What's been
noticed,
noted.
which is
Got it.
helpful.
Right, okay.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else?
Thank you for your patience.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys, okay. Okay, so we're gonna close this hearing. We'll deliberate tonight, we'll let you go, and then we'll deliberate.
You can
Aren't you
stay.
glad you stuck around? Isn't this fun?
You can
I got to learn so much.
You seem excited, you even helped with their application.
No, because once it's closed, we can't communicate.
All right.
It might be helpful for you.
Well, thank you very,
Thank
very
you.
much. We really appreciate you
Yes.
all.
Yeah, thank you for.
And we appreciate your thoroughness too.
You too, thank you. All right, we're going on to the next calendar item, number 15-2025. This public hearing was opened on June 18th, was continued to July 1st of 2025 without testimony, and recontinued to tonight, July 8th of 2025 without testimony. The application of Arpita Michal, is I saying that correctly, Ms. Michal?
That's beautiful,
Thank you. on behalf of William Rosner and Catherine McCarthy to allow the construction of a second-story addition at 95 Half Mile Road. Whenever you're ready, if you could just state your name for the record, even though I've said it.
This is Arpita Mitchell, architectural designer of Arpita Mitchell Design LLC here in Darien, Connecticut. As you said, representing my clients, Mr. and Mrs. McCarthy at 95 Half Mile River Road. Thank you for taking the time on this beautiful warm day. Definitely glad for air conditioning today. So this is a very unusual kind of a property. I love a lot of the architecture of the existing home, and this variance is to allow for that beautiful architecture to remain, because yes, that's what we are trying to fight here. There's an existing two-story garage that varies in the setback. We called out in our project narrative that it's 13.3 feet into the front yard setbacks. Actually, on one side, it's only about 9 feet. On the other side, because the garage is slanted, it goes to 13.3 feet. So the 13.3 feet is the maximum kind of a setback into the front yard. This site does have 2 front yards, which is a detriment. But frankly, that is not the biggest hardship. Our biggest hardship is the fact that almost 60 to 70% of this area or more is wetlands and this beautiful pond. And then the only buildable area has beautiful septic fields, which also we need. Additional, in terms of safety, if any of you did drive by there to take a look at it, which I know you do. So right now, this garage, the way it is, it's just a little too tight against the existing stone wall, which again, we're trying to maintain the character of the site and not just start, demoing things to make things happen. The homeowners are unable to use the existing 2-car garage for parking, especially one side, because it's really tough to get in. So our proposal allows for, and by the way, we are also going to EPC hearing for the back addition. So we are literally caught between 2 ends. One way we have wetlands and EPC hearings, and then the other side, any expansion will need. Privately, I also feel that garage is super ugly, and if we could make it match the rest of the house, it would be a huge improvement to the neighborhood and to the architecture. So that is one of the reasons why we are here, that if we can kill 2 birds with the same stone, improve the property, not make it supersized. As you know, the 2 homes across from it
Are ginormous.
are ginormous by Darien standards, and this is small by Darien standards for a 2+ acre property. So in both ways, I think it's a kind of a win-win for the town, and I would hope that we would be the zoning board would think about that kind of change in the town, because unfortunately, too many beautiful homes are having to be toned down for just that little ask, in our opinion.
So can we focus on, I think you talked about the hardship is the wetlands and perhaps the corner lot and the placement of the home and the other. So then go to the purpose of the application and what the homeowner and you are trying to achieve as far as usefulness of the property and why that's the minimal adjustment necessary to address the hardship.
So the homeowners wanted to be able to add 3 bedrooms to the property. The existing bedrooms are small and they're all in the mansard roof. So there was a need to add 3, not 2, and also an office space. So that's what, they don't have a real laundry room, we're trying to add that. It's not a huge expansion in the footprint. Total between all of these things, we are expanding it less than 1,600 square feet of total between the 2, the front and the back addition.
So how much what's the expansion of square footage and volume in the setback?
In the setback is 10 times 20, about 200 square feet.
200 square feet in the setback.
Of additional
Square footage.
Square footage on split between 2 floors?
No, the downstairs is already existing as a garage building, so we are not
You're not
increasing.
expanding that at all?
We are just going up above, which again still requires a variance hearing. We are just going up. It has a hip roof right now.
Right, so the 200 square feet, 10 by 20, is all on the second floor, and that's all new volume as well, but you're using a...
Mansard roof.
Right.
There's an existing hip roof that has some volume, of course. I'm not even counting that to discount it out. I'm just
Right.
saying our,
Some of the new volume is actually old volume.
yes.
You said something along the lines of the bedrooms being too small in the
So-
current house. Can you give us a little bit of detail on what
So
that means? How
the,
you're describing them as being too
yes.
small?
So the existing bedrooms over here, there are 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedrooms here. Actually, sorry, 1, 2 bedrooms here. So we want to add, and this is the existing master suite, which, you know, is pretty small. So we wanted to add the master suite over here.
Just so I understand, so the existing house has 3 total bedrooms?
Looks like
Um,
4.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I mean, this one's a closet.
Okay.
There is a 4th bedroom downstairs.
It's a 4-bedroom, 5-bath house. It's
Yes, because there's a
3,700
4th
square feet.
bedroom on the first floor.
Okay,
Upstairs, there's only 3 bedrooms.
got it.
And frankly, the 4th bedroom downstairs,
Okay, so
But
there's 3
but
up
it's
now.
technically a bedroom.
it's technically a bedroom. So, but on the upper floor, there are only 3 bedrooms.
So you basically want to reconfigure the entire upstairs floor.
Yes, pretty much.
And how many bedrooms are in the new configuration?
In the new configuration, we are going to remove 1 bedroom and add 2. So I'm going to show you the plans so you can see the volume here. So to be able to create an office and a laundry room here, we are going to end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bedrooms, 6 bedrooms, sorry. And the idea is that one of these bedrooms will also be an office upstairs.
So you're going from a 4-bedroom house to a 7-bedroom house?
To a
6
6, because the downstairs will not be a bedroom anymore.
Okay, and the current house, how much of the current house is in the setback now?
Just that garage portion.
Right, so can you, where on that, taking that schematic, that architectural drawing, where does the setback line go through the garage?
So if you see, can you follow my line,
Yeah.
my finger? That's
Yeah.
the setback line.
Right.
So on one end here, when it comes to the plan, not the roof, it's only about 8 feet, under 8 feet. But then when you consider the roof, I'm saying that's why 9 feet on one side and 13.3 with the roof on the other side.
Okay.
So this is your volume that is in the setbacks.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I'm here.
Yeah, so everything else you're doing is as of right, except for
That
that
little
portion.
section.
Well, they still need wetlands.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Right, right, right.
Septic.
From our point of view.
Yeah, right.
And so the question is always like, where else could you have done this?
Yes.
Take us through your exercise of where else you looked on this 2-acre property to do this expansion.
So, I'll go to this one because this is a larger site. So, this is that existing garage that we are adding on, right? So, when you enter, you come in from here and you go here. This is where we run into problems because we have the side yard setback or the front yard setback. There's 2 front yards. So we have a front yard setback right here. So we debated about putting it here, but there's not a whole lot of room to do that. And frankly, it did not make sense to put it here, especially since loading the garage to begin with was a problem, and adding volume in this area did not make sense where we also have that stone wall here.
But you could have whacked the garage off and put it on the other side of the house or done something.
Absolutely. So could we have toned down things? Yes, but we are trying to avoid taking away the character of this property as well.
Okay.
And that is part of the thing. Now,
But how are you solving the stone wall problem if the garage
we are
is
just
essentially
leaving,
the same place?
we are actually extending the garage on the other side by a couple feet so that the garage door is not so tight against a stone wall. The garage is also on the smaller side. It's a legal garage, but it's on the smaller side. So by adding just a little bit more volume, we are able to slide the,
And that area is not in the setback that you're
that is
in?
not in the setbacks. And all of that volumetrically, we are adding about 1580 square feet, including
Right.
that total between the EPC hearing and your hearing.
Yeah.
We did look at this area as being the addition, right? But this is where the septic is, so we can't go there. And this is the only area that we could have actually put the garage to. There's no really good place.
Any mechanicals or anything else going in the setback that we should be aware of?
No, the mechanicals are outside the setbacks, and we will keep it so.
Okay. So the net gain is that you're going to put about 200 square feet in the setback, and it's going over existing
Correct,
structure that's in the setback.
correct.
Okay. And your
What
hardship-
condition, sorry,
Go ahead.
what condition is the existing structure in?
I would say a B plus condition, yeah, I would say about a B plus condition.
So you anticipate reusing all the walls, the foundation, anything that is up, that you're building on top of there, you're keeping?
We are keeping, we are actually, as I mentioned, we are making the garage bigger. So some of that wall will be reconfigured as a result of that, but that's not the wall in the setback. So the setback wall will stay.
This might be in some materials that I missed. How did it come to be that that garage was built in a non-conforming location?
So I went and looked at all of our records. It seems to be pre-zoning. There was no documentation, and we found stacks of documentation with interior renovation and a lot of other things, but there was no documentation of this garage building being built after 19...
When was that? When was the house built?
1948.
When were the zoning regs for that area? put in
65 or
place?
68, something like that.
Really? Okay. Okay.
Right, Woody?
Maybe, I don't know for sure.
That's my understanding, that Connecticut,
Okay.
I mean, Darien started to do regs around that period.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that, as far as we know, the garage is a legally non-conforming.
Legal non-conforming property. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
You agree, Woody? There's no suggestion otherwise? Okay.
Okay. So our concern is always, if you start messing around with that garage and the thing falls apart, you got to bring it into compliance.
Or you have to come before us.
Right.
Yeah, you have to come before us. You can't have your builder start putting it back and then go, oops, I didn't know.
Right.
You've been so warned. Because it's not in, because it takes away the hardship. Yeah.
Or part
I
of
know
it.
you get that. You've built other houses in town. I love your work.
Thank you.
Okay.
I
Yep,
have no questions.
okay.
You want to
Questions?
clarify? You want to
What do you-
clarify what's going to stay of foundation, walls, ceiling joists, existing?
So like she already did. So two
What's-
of the walls are staying, the garage.
No, actual Woody's talking like actual
Oh.
structure.
Yeah, but if we're not, if this is my view on that, if the ceiling joists can't take it,
We want them
I
replaced.
want them replaced. So, but if you take the garage down to the foundation, you gotta come to us.
Got it.
Any neighbor issues with this? Talk to the neighbors? There's no neighbors around you on the one side. You
Yeah,
got
none
3
of the
acres.
neighbors will be affected, and I don't think the big house neighbors in front will also have an issue. Because if anything, their view is getting improved. Now, that's my
The
personal
smallest house in the neighborhood.
opinion, yeah.
And they were
but-
noticed, I don't know if.
Yes,
People are living
nobody's
in one of them,
contacted.
but not in the one
Correct.
closer to.
Yeah, but
Church Road.
from my understanding, it has changed hands, but I
Okay,
don't
so you
think
noticed
anybody-
properly though, whoever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Anybody in the audience wish to be heard? Don't you guys want to say something on this? She said something on yours. All right, now. All right, Randy, you got any comments?
No, I think she's got a pre-existing structure and there's nothing you can do about that.
Okay.
So she just needs to compromise what she needs to do.
Okay.
And while I know this is not a hardship, but I do hope that the commission, and I know that's why I'm here today, does consider the fact that we want to retain some of Darien's unique properties and not make them all. And the clients are very, very eco-friendly, so they are actually already in talks to do some more plantings with or without your conditions.
I love that.
Can I ask one other question?
Yes.
The piece of the plan in the back that's not before us, that has to do with the wetlands, That is in addition to this or as an alternate to this?
In addition, so between the two areas, I'm able to only add 1,580 square feet to this house because we are also tight against the wetlands situation, so I can't just expand that. If I could have, we would have probably left the garage alone.
Okay, so this isn't a situation where you've got kind of two paths going in different directions, and if this gets approved, you're not gonna worry about that, or if that got approved, you wouldn't worry about this. It's all part of the
It's all
plan.
part of.
Okay.
Now, the client may phase one or the other first so that they can stay in the property for as long as possible, but they are part of a full project.
Okay.
All right, so we will close the hearing. You can
Thank you
stick
very
around,
much.
we'll deliberate tonight. In fact, why don't we start and deliberate with her, it's fresh in our minds. That's what I would like to do. You guys good with that? Hold up, guys, this will be quick. All right, I'm the chair. I'm gonna close, yeah, I just closed it. I closed the hearing.
So again, the 5 of us are on this.
Right, the 5 of us are Gary's observing tonight. I'm sorry, Randy. Not Gary, Randy, I'm sorry, Randy. All right, so 45 half mile. I'll start with John. What do you think? Or maybe I shouldn't start with you.
I
Who wants to
think
start?
I wasn't expecting for you to start with me.
Okay, I will start with you. You like to start. You
I
talk about
don't,
hardship?
I don't, John.
I think it's a minor 200 square feet inside the setback.
Clear on the hardship?
I think you can, I think I've said this before, you can make any argument and get to a good point on hardship. I think the question is minimal adjustment necessary.
I like it.
You know, that 4 bedrooms to 6 bedrooms, it's adding, was it 1,500 square feet? Did I have the number right?
1,600.
1,600 square feet.
I don't think 6 bedrooms is a minimal adjustment,
Well,
but
but
it's 200 square feet.
I will say too, yeah, that I've always thought the minimal adjustment applied to the part of the variance. Like, they want to take the rest of the house and turn it into a 20-bedroom.
They can do
That's up to them. It's the amount that we have to give a variance on. So yeah, 200 square feet.
I kind of like that. I agree with you. Gary, you think that?
And it's already partial.
Gary's rubbing his head.
Some of the volume is already in the setback too, so.
Right.
It's like half the floor.
Exactly. It's a legally non-conforming garage. They're going over, there's zero impact in that neighborhood. It's a very unique property if you think about hardship with the size of the pond.
2 front yards. a lot of
Yeah,
wetlands.
see, I'm less concerned about the front yards because P&Z had an opportunity to deal with 2 front yards many, many times. And they've said they're 2 front yards on a corner lot. So that's not a unique, like every corner lot has that issue. But here you've got wetlands, you've got the pond, and you've got a pre-existing legally non-conforming structure that they're going to improve. And I think they're very conscious by not having a large volume above the garage with the roof structure that they're proposing. Again, I'm not an architect, but I know that they could go much higher and put more storage up there and realize.
I think her point is that roof is a tricky line, the roof line.
Right, so I think it's a,
Right.
I think it's an appropriate addition to that house, given the hardship and the area and the setback. That, to your point, Matt, half of that garage is legally non-conforming. You can't say, well, only go above the legally, only go above the area that's in the as of right. I don't think makes sense. So I think it's a minimal adjustment.
You?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly agree that this is a unique property. But then the question is, has that created such a hardship that if we didn't give them relief from the zoning text, would deprive them of substantial justice in the use of their land? And I'm struggling with that portion of the test, which is to say that a 3,700 square foot, 4-bedroom house needing to expand to a 6+ bedroom house, and the failure to allow them to do that would deprive them of the justice in the use of their land.
Yeah,
So I'm struggling
I think we struggle with that
Yeah.
all the time because it's a desire, not an.
Right.
But given my view is, if they were looking to put the garage there and then build above it, I would. I don't think they can move the garage. I think the garage is
Pre-existing.
and it's a necessary use in of a piece of property, so you have to have the garage there. I don't see it's that big a deal to go above it.
Yeah,
But
I don't think it's a
understand
big deal.
exactly
Yeah,
what
I
you're
don't think
saying.
it's a big deal.
But you're right, technically, we're not depriving them. I get what you're saying. Okay. So I'll make a motion to approve this as presented, and we'll see where the votes shake
But
out.
with the stipulation that, and the reason being, the stipulation is if the garage goes down to its foundation,
They must,
then I don't think it's a legally non-conforming structure anymore, that they get automatically grandfathered into rebuilding.
that's scary.
So, and that's part of the basis of our finding, is that the garage is already there. So if the garage disappears because they have to take it down, then the stipulation would be
They have to come back in front of
They have to come
us.
back in front of us and apply or explain what they want to do and why.
Plan changes,
Well,
correct.
to be clear, would that mean that the foundation has to stay? And
If it goes down to the
First floor
foundation,
walls.
if it goes down, if they take the garage down to its foundation, they have to come back to us. Or down to the,
the walls don't have to be preserved.
no, I want to, no, I don't think well, yes, if all the walls are gone, then it's down to the foundation. I mean, you might have a better way of wording
Yeah,
it than-
I don't know why we
than a
wouldn't just
dumb
say,
lawyer.
well, and I get it that we've said this before and it doesn't always
Backfires,
happen,
I
but, the commitment's been made that they're gonna preserve the foundation and the walls. I honestly don't care if they keep the floor joists above or not.
I agree.
But the walls and the foundation should stay.
And if they don't, they have to come back to us.
Yeah.
We might want to put that language specifically in there.
Okay, so we're going to work on
Yeah.
the stipulation before it's issued,
Okay?
so that it's clear.
So I've made that proposal. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Gary seconds. All in favor? Denied? So that's 4-1. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Okay.
John, you voted in favor, correct?
Yes.
Yes,
voted
Kevin
no.
denied, but it
Okay.
passes. Congratulations. Thank you. All right, you guys are up. Okay, so you can't say anything. We're going to you. Okay, calendar number 10, 2025, Cloud 10. Who wants to start? Matt, you should start. I think Matt made the critical argument.
I think in light of the fact that what we're really talking about here is the height of the 10. And it's the lettering that was always the big issue. The height on the building for me is less of an issue. The BMW one is all the way at the top, and the Palmer sign is all the way at the top if you measure all the way down to the base there. So
Are you good granting them a variance for the sign anyways? You think like, if they follow the regs, it's too small?
Yeah, exactly. So if they follow the regs, the smart wash part is like 10 inches, right?
Yeah, you can't see it at all.
Which is tiny. And that's just because of that 10 logo that makes it too small. I did a quick, and so, yeah, if you take it in aggregate, right, you got Cloud, Smartwash, and 10, and you take the weighted average of all the sizes of that, it comes out to 26 inches. So like the average height is actually right there at 26 inches with the new.
With the request.
But-
With the new one.
I think, and I didn't make the regulation, but the point of that is so someone couldn't come in and design a sign that had 5 rows of text all at 20-inch lettering, right?
And that's true, yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
ideally, maybe, yeah. No, I agree with that too. So I wasn't, yeah, I was kind
The
of,
height is a problem. The 15-foot.
especially with,
You can't see it.
Right.
You can't see it.
and
So
especially,
if we take them bit by bit, right? So the first thing they asked for is 24/7 in lieu of 15 maximum height.
No,
Given where the building is being placed, and the size of the building, and the trees, which, I don't know if we've ever used trees as a reason for a variance, the existence of trees. But I
Sidewalk.
agree, I'd rather them taken down.
I agree.
yeah.
Well, and Garen, maybe let me set the table for, like, do the legal housekeeping, and then we can have that,
Yeah.
which is to say, my view of it is, there's nothing terribly unique about this property. I don't think there's any particular hardship with the type of property it is. But we can nonetheless grant a variance if we find some other reason to grant it, like, for example, safety. And I think there's a consensus that putting the structure further back from the road makes it safer, which we all want, and that's what they heard from DOT.
And P&Z.
Yeah, and P&Z. Whether it was specifically documented or what, it's compelling just to hear that because it makes sense, it's logical. And secondarily, it's my view, and I don't know if you guys agree, that having a sign the size of what is allowed in the regulations at the height that's allowed in the regulations would not necessarily be a safe condition, that something that's at least higher or slightly bigger would help for drivers seeing it and identifying the property and would create a more safe situation. That's my view and the base for it. So then the question, I think, is, to get to where you were going, is how high, how big,
Right.
and are we comfortable with what they propose? And just to start,
And are we comfortable totally ignoring the planning and zoning? I mean, they created this whole regulation, right?
Well, they create every regulation, and
No,
we then vary.
I got it, but this is the first, I think,
I know.
right? There's a precedent.
Yeah, and clearly they don't anticipate every property.
Right.
I think strict, my view is, and I think they did show the compliance sign, forget the 15 foot off the ground, even if that sign were compliant and in a raised elevation,
Cannot see it.
I don't think that's
It's ineffective.
appropriate.
Yeah.
Regardless of the size of the building, I'm not talking about aesthetics. I'm talking, I think as Kevin did, it needs to see a sign as you're driving by.
right, and so to take it one at a time, in terms of the height, it sounds like there's a consensus that the 15 feet is not sufficient, given the desire to keep the trees and the other things with the configuration.
Right.
And so question one is 24.7
4.7 the right height?
appropriate? And I'm fine with that. Like, I think,
Me too.
I'm fine with that also. Okay. Matt?
Yeah, no issues there.
Woody?
It's your,
Okay.
Yeah.
so I mean, the
Okay.
next question is like sort of taken together, which is because they're comparable, right? They're
The
like the size of the
46.
letters and the overall square footage.
So I think the way the regulations are written have a undesired impact on this sign, because they are not actually applying for a 46-foot, every letter to be 46 inches. It's only the logo that's 46 inches. The rest are 31 or, 33 or 19-ish. So,
But that would also be the reason why Orvis is just one word, right? Because
Right.
obviously they have I think they must have some sort of logo. And Trader Joe's is one
Right.
word, right?
Right.
Because they're maximizing that 20, I'm still a little confused on whether it's 20 or 26, but they're maximizing that
yeah.
dimension for the one word
Yeah.
essentially, or two in Trader Joe's case.
They're all different, but their words are their logos. So,
Stop and Shop has a giant red and green bubble
Logo.
thing above it. So
Right, if you measure that height,
that's way more than,
right.
yeah.
The letters are one
Well,
thing.
Stop
the
and
logo's
Shop
another.
is 36 inches?
24-inch
24
letters,
inches.
but like, I mean, all right,
and 36 inches for the,
well, that was a
I'm saying-
2010 variance approval. What's there now was replaced and
Oh.
conformed with the regulations.
So this Stop and Shop logo is only 52 square feet?
Right.
That's impossible.
When you measure the Stop and Shop letters, and then you measure the two balls.
But see, they broke it apart.
right,
If you break this apart-
You do a giant rectangle.
Yeah,
around
if
it.
Oh,
you apply
right, so
to what
this
they
is,
had to
this
do.
is the,
Woody,
No,
no, if we do the giant rectangle, they're hosed. It's big. Use AI, fix this, do that.
It's now this one, right? It's now the shopping
Oh my
basket.
God, yeah, if you put a big rectangle over that.
This is,
I mean, I'll cut to the chase. I mean,
And this,
just, I mean, given everything, given that the proposal before us is unique, given that only a portion of the sign is 46 inches, and that's just the 10, and given that the effective square footage of the sign is really more in the 80-inch range versus the 170 square foot range, I'm fine with the proposal and on that page that is marked over
Yeah.
there. 58 or whatever it is.
I agree. As, if it complies with the way the sign is depicted here, I'm okay with it, with the height of the letters, in cloud, and the height of the letters in smartwatch, and the logo exactly as depicted in this
Yeah,
exhibit.
and I would say in terms of precedent, obviously, no variance we make is precedential, but this is on the very edge of town, on a road that is 4 to 5 lanes with the highway right there. I think given that and the volume of traffic.
And the speed of traffic
Yeah,
there.
the speed of traffic and the safety concerns that we've articulated earlier, I'm comfortable with it here, and don't think it sets a precedent for elsewhere in town.
Right, I don't think this would apply for someone, a building in any of the new developments, either in
agree.
the Heights or in the center of
Where
town,
there's foot traffic.
and much slower car traffic.
I mean, for me, the argument was if you put this to scale, it was the much larger version, and they didn't ask for that. This seems to work. It seems like a good compromise to me. So I'm good with it too. John?
I'm just having a hard time with the overall, I agree that the regulations don't produce a sign that is worth anything to this property. Just, if I'm looking at these calculations from staff, the Trader Joe's sign is 35 square feet. That means, again, I get it, like there's some blank space up there, but even if you take out that 80 square feet, this sign is gonna be 3 times as big as the Trader Joe's sign. 35 square feet versus 170 minus, I'll take out 80. I don't know that that's right. I don't know that I agree with that, but that's 90. So that's 90 square feet. I'm having a hard, I'm concerned that this thing is going to look way bigger than, and it's just, look, we can do whatever, but I'm just, and I want them to have a bigger sign. I'm worried that 170 square feet again minus is
Yeah, I mean, they obviously have more letters in Cloud 10 smartwatch than Trader Joe's. So each letter
I know,
being
but
whatever
this-
height
yeah.
creates
look,
the
I'm
bigger
not trying
volume. Yeah.
there's a
You know,
space
I'm
in
not-
between the things, but yeah.
I don't know how you arrive at the right, I don't know how to do that.
I agree, yeah, I agree though, like, I don't know how we.
And again, I'm not.
It's not
I
a
don't wanna
known
try to-
name. It's not like a Chase or
Yeah,
a
but
Trader
that's
Joe's
not-
or a Stop. It's not our problem,
That's
but
not, right, the economics of that are not really our problem. I think the safety issue. And I don't know whether people actually, I don't know. When
Because-
my wife gets her car washed, it is not an impulse buy. She's leaving the house and says, I'm going to get the car washed. But
yeah, I think in time this will be a destination, but
If you, to compare it to Trader Joe's, the width of the two signs are comparable. Trader Joe's is 19 and a half feet, this new sign is 22 feet.
Oh, that's helpful. Okay,
So
so
it's not massively bigger, and then the letters are.
But it's stacked. They're stacked words.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, this is the old one. Wait. This is.
no, you're right. It's
No, I'm sorry, no, that was. Sorry, the new one is 18
18.
feet.
Can I see
So
the
they're-
one that's
they're-
in front of you?
oh, so that's
Or
even
something?
smaller.
So they're identical.
Can I see
They're
that for a second?
identical.
They're identical in
This
width.
is the monument, isn't it? Well,
No.
okay.
Yeah, 18 foot
They're
5
identical.
across, and Trader Joe's is 19.5 across.
Right, so
And then
they're,
this one is, I'm discounting the top of the 10 for right now. It's just not, doesn't do it for me. 2'9", and 1'7". It's 2'10", 3'10", 4'5". So it's 48 plus 5 is 53 inches. So Trader Joe's is 22. So it's the
Double
same
that.
length, but double the
That
height.
because it's stacked letters.
The Trader Joe's logo's closer if you just have the cloud all the way across.
But the building is also like double the height.
And not only double the height, but it's
Higher
like
up.
a
Weird.
facade
Yeah,
that is
it's a
just
big-
flat and nothing on it, unlike Trader Joe's that has storefront
Right.
windows and all the rest.
Well, that should be entered, that's the official entered into record if we approve it.
Does anybody else have anything else they want to?
I mean, look, if, in a perfect world, I'd say, well, you know, show us, they stepped it down to that, what if they got shrunk a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more?
Yeah, but at some
You wanna
point, there's
see
a
that?
breaking point where it's like, this is the size sign that we need to make
Right.
this place successful, so, you know.
Right.
I wouldn't want to keep sending them, not that we couldn't.
Right, I know.
like, keep sending back, go try again, try again,
Right,
try again.
right.
And
They
we've
went,
closed
they
the
went
hearing
through
also.
Yeah,
that.
no, but we could
You know,
reject
they-
and say,
Yeah.
say why.
But then they have to
But
wait
I'm-
6 months.
But I'm,
They do.
Yeah, if we reject an application, you have to wait
Yeah.
6
yeah,
months.
I'm comfortable with this, the way it is.
You could stipulate that they can't have a monument sign if you're gonna give them.
But I don't want that, that's a
I
I
real
think that's
safety
the
issue.
problem.
safe.
Yeah.
I want them to have a compliant monument sign.
Because if they didn't have a monument sign, then really they should be in front of ARB and not even us.
I
Right.
agree.
Because that regulation says that if they're increasing, they need to go to ARB, not us.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm confused why wouldn't,
ARB punted this to us, they didn't want to do it.
Yeah, it's annoying that them or planning and zoning didn't just
Yeah,
do
they
it.
didn't want to, I totally did, I talked to myself.
and how come, well, it's not important for now. It's not.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to approve the variance request,
Reference
but
plans.
as detailed on Plan A8.58 dated March 5th, 2025, and as printed out on, again, June 19th, 2025,
Per detail
yeah,
2.
for detail 2, and as signed and circled by Brendan Johnson, dated July 8th, 2025, and submitted into the record.
So the approved sign has to comply exactly with those dimensions for each element of the sign.
Yes.
And what are those? The maximum letter height?
well-
The maximum letter
tell you.
height for smart, the maximum letter height for cloud, and the maximum logo height, as shown on.
For
the-
all,
It's 46
wait,
inches.
for all dimensions
170
as
feet,
outlined on this drawing.
129.3,
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
For all dimensions as outlined on this drawing.
yes. And additionally, the monument sign,
No, I think we're silent on
we
that.
don't have
Yeah,
to say
no,
anything
no,
about
no, no.
monument sign because it's,
But,
I don't know. I
but the
think we do-
monument, but this, I think this is stipulated on a compliant monument sign. They're not.
Right, they're, yeah.
They're not,
we're
if they
coming-
come and ask
right,
for.
right, right.
Well, if they
it
come and
will be
ask for
denied.
it, we're gonna say no.
Exactly,
Okay, so that's my motion.
Okay,
right. I'll second that.
all in favor? Wow. Congratulations. You owe us free car washes.
No, you don't.
Okay,
I didn't say
I
that.
did not say that. I did not say that. Okay, sorry. I'm kidding, sorry. You're right, I can't believe I said that on record. Okay.
I will not accept.
Not accept.
Thank you all very, very much.
All right, that's great. All right.
Okay, can we be done with this?
Yes,
special
we're
meeting?
done, but wait, do we have a couple quickie things? Hold on, don't be angry with me.
What
Woody.
happened to the air conditioning in this?
I know, I'm so hot.
Sorry, I guess they shut it off.
Oh my God, okay, then we're out of here, because I'm not gonna
Oh,
do
yeah, they
this.
probably show
Well,
up
no,
at 8.
Wait.
this 3-month extension.
Yeah,
get
the
this
3-month
extension done.
extension for Ashley and Patrick McManus, I'm fine with that on 18 Highland. Why do
Any
they need
specific
it?
reason?
Yeah, I go by this every day,
Remember
what's
that
going on
small
there?
garage?
Why do they need that
Ended up being
extension?
like $150,000 or something. They struggled with
All
lots of
right.
things, including financing.
Okay.
But now they have to demo.
Well,
it
thank
all.
God we denied the rest of their project. All right. Okay, I'm okay with
Motion,
that.
Motion
I'll
to,
make a motion to, okay, second with
Second.
Matt.
Second.
All in favor?
To grant,
That passed. To
yeah.
grant
This is the
their
extension
extension.
Deny it.
The approval of the minutes from April 28th, I'll make a
April 28th would be
motion.
good to clear. if we
I
could do
did,
that.
I approved those and signed those.
The others, we're still working on it. We're
Yeah.
trying to use AI. I hope that could work.
Oh, yay. Woody, I'll work with you on the language on the stipulations.
Yeah, it's gonna be a trick.
Okay.
So Barb made a motion on April 28th, right?
yep, second.
John?
All in favor?
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Got it?
We'll postpone the other stuff.
Okay,
Yes,
postpone, that's
please.
great. Shut the air off. Woody, thank you for setting this up. Did you have to bring these tables in?
Can we
They were here.
can we move to adjourn the
Move
meeting?
to adjourn. It is 9:05 PM.
I seconded.
All in favor? Aye, thank you, everybody.
Thank
Good.
you.
Thank you, TV.
Okay, now we're on.